Welcome. My name is Danielle Main, and I am presenting the study by Dakanalis et al. On the internalization of sociocultural standards of beauty and disordered eating behaviours, the role of body surveillance, shame, and social anxiety, as published in the Journal of Psychopathology, Volume 20, pages 33 to 37. According to the authors, the internalization of what it is that makes someone beautiful based purely on appearance, as portrayed in the media, leads women to experience body shame and social anxiety, which both lead to disordered eating behaviour. Body shame occurs when women endorse media-portrayed body shape norms and is a negative self-evaluation of how they compare their own body shape to this norm. Social anxiety occurs through not being able to meet this standard and a fear of negative evaluation by others in social situations. Through the framework of objectification theory, women see themselves as objects and value themselves based on physical appearance. Self-objectification occurs through the constant monitoring or surveillance of the body and how it looks. This body surveillance leads to increased body shame and social anxiety, which both are predictors for disordered eating behaviour. The aim of this study was to specifically focus on the effect of this internalisation of media ideals within the objectification theory. Building on previous studies using Australian and American populations, the authors focused on a population of Italian women. They hypothesised that 1, the internalisation of media ideals leads to body surveillance. 2, that body surveillance leads to body shame and social anxiety. And 3, that body shame and social anxiety contribute to disordered eating behaviour. The participants were 408 undergraduate women with a mean age of 20.82 from Italian universities who responded to advertisements for an online study. Participants were required to fill out 6 self-report online questionnaires, as well as an initial demographics questionnaire, which included a question requiring a yes-no response for have you ever been diagnosed or treated for an eating disorder. The questionnaires included 2 subscales from the Objectified Body Consciousness Scale, 1 subscale from the Socio-Cultural Attitudes Towards Appearance Scale number 3, Attraction Anxiousness Scale, and 2 subscales from the Eating Disorders Inventory number 2. Body mass index, BMI, was also calculated for each participant, and a number of women reported being previously diagnosed or treated for anorexia nervosa, 2 participants, bulimia, 3 participants, or eating disorders not otherwise specified, 6 participants. No participants were excluded from the study, and each item from each questionnaire was answered, as participants could not move to the next question until the previous question was answered, ensuring that none were missed. The results and the scores used on the descriptive statistics were those measures obtained as the observed values. These observed variables were compared through the Comparative Fit Index and the Tucker-Lewis Index to show good fitness of the data. The M+ 5.1 program of statistical analysis was used to analyse the pathways. Correlation analysis was conducted on all of the variables, and all model paths were significant with p less than 0.05. And the model accounted for 50.3% of the variance in women's eating disorder behaviour, indicating a sizable variance. Body shame and social anxiety were examined as mediators in the link between body surveillance and disordered eating behaviour. And body surveillance was examined as a mediator between internalisation of media ideals and body shame. The pattern of correlations was consistent with the objectification model and was in an excellent agreement with previous findings. All 3 hypotheses were supported: that internalisation of media ideals leads to body surveillance, the body surveillance leads to body shame and social anxiety, and the body shame and social anxiety contribute to disordered eating behaviours. The results were in support of objectification theory, that women become hyper-aware of their body image, which leads to body shame, as they constantly evaluate themselves against the ideal body as portrayed in the media. Body shame and body anxiety are both strong predictors of disordered eating behaviour, and the findings are consistent across cultures, showing relevancy of the theory to Italian women. Being able to recognise vulnerability to media ideals through body shame and social anxiety could influence treatment strategies that specifically target media images and how they are internalised. However, limitations of the study include ignoring other risk factors such as genetics, childhood trauma and personality. The model does not account for the fact that millions of women are exposed to unrealistic societal expectations through media images, yet only a small number develop eating disorders. Reporting bias of self-report measures, that is being anonymous, could also skew results. Using a variety of data collection methods could help reduce this bias. The sample of college students was also used, which is consistent with the American and Australian studies. However, how well do the findings transfer to different demographics of women? Replication studies in other demographics would need to be conducted to see if it does in fact transfer. The authors focus on the terminology of disordered eating behaviour, but do not elaborate on what constitutes disordered eating behaviour, nor do they elaborate on which eating disorders they are testing for. And this research also ignores the impact of internalisation of media ideals on males with eating disorders. Does it also translate across genders? The future directions could explore the validity of the objectification theory as a reliable predictor for diagnosing eating disorders. Further research on the predictive factors that counteract the impact of media ideals, how they are internalised, could lead to the development of programs that interrupt or disrupt this internalisation process. Such programs could be implemented in schools to enhance these protective factors. They could also have significant use within a clinical context and assist with tangible treatment plans for patients presenting with eating disorders. A focus of the treatment could be directed at building the protective factors within the patient. The reference list includes the focus of the article, and please note that all photographs or pictures and cartoons used within the presentation were taken from Google Images. Thank you very much for listening.